Chapter 13. The Police and Crime. Section 1.
Arthur and Mary enjoyed their short stay in Applefield, but decided to return to Earl's Court late on the Sunday night, as they had very little money left, and Mary wanted to go to work the next day. Moreover, the people from whom they had hired the car wanted it to be returned on Monday morning. The longer they kept it, the more it would cost them. They arrived outside their flat at about 11 o'clock at night. Mary went in first, while Arthur started to unload the luggage from the car. He had just taken the cases from the boot when Mary came running out of the front door in tears, calling to Arthur to come quickly. Arthur could hardly believe his eyes when he saw what a state the flat was in. The living room seemed to have been hit by a tornado. All the cupboards had been emptied, the furniture had been overturned, the carpet pulled back. Their hi-fi equipment, which they'd had for only a month, had disappeared, and the television set was also gone. It was the same in the bedroom. Every single drawer, including the one in which Mary kept her jewellery, had been pulled out, and the contents strewn all over the floor. The silver-backed brush and comb set that Arthur had given Mary soon after they had got engaged was missing, and there was no sign of her jewellery. It was difficult to see what else had been stolen, as the place was in such a mess. After a few minutes, Mary stopped crying, and Arthur told her that he was going to ring the police, which he did straight away. They told him to leave everything as it was until they had a chance to look at what had happened and to look for fingerprints and signs of how the thieves had got in. Arthur was thankful that he'd taken out an insurance policy against fire and theft a couple of months before. He consoled Mary by telling her that even if the burglar was not caught and they never saw their property again, they would receive compensation.
Section 2. Perhaps the most important job of the police is the prevention of crime and the detection and arrest of criminals. This job is one that seems to get harder and harder with each passing year. Firstly, it's difficult to get sufficient people to become policemen. This has something to do with the fact that the pay of the police isn't especially attractive, and also with the image that the police have presented recently. There have been several cases of police corruption and rough handling by the police of members of the public, though the police insist that these scandals are not representative of the behavior of the police as a whole. Another problem is that criminals are getting more sophisticated, better organized, and better equipped. And crime is now big business. Large, spectacular crimes, such as raids on banks or thefts from art galleries, may well be organized and masterminded by men who also own respectable businesses in the City of London or elsewhere. Perhaps the best example of this kind of modern crime was the great train robbery of 1964, when a large gang of well-trained, well-equipped men stole over £3 million from a mail train. The raid was carried out like a military operation and can claim to be considered one of the outstanding crimes of all time. But if criminals are getting better organized, so are the police. Today, every British policeman carries a two-way radio with which he can get in immediate touch with his headquarters, whether he be in a car, on a motorcycle, or on foot. One thing, however, remains traditional and unsophisticated with the British policeman. He does not usually carry anything more dangerous than a wooden truncheon for his personal protection. Some people in Britain think that the police should be allowed to carry guns, and no doubt some policemen themselves would prefer to be armed. But so far the Home Office, which is the government department responsible for police affairs, has resisted such pressure. Section 3. These 3 minor crimes were reported in a local weekly newspaper.
Statuette is stolen. A valuable 16th century wooden statuette was stolen from the Barn Church, Atwood Avenue, Kew, between last Sunday night and Monday afternoon. The statuette, about 11.5 inches high, is called God the Father, God the Son, and shows a figure of God holding the crucified body of Jesus. It was dug up in a parishioner's garden many years ago, and since the present church was built in the 1930s, has stood on a platform in the Lady Chapel. The theft was discovered on Monday by the vicar, the Reverend Roger Lamont. The statuette had been pulled off the platform and removed. The police have been informed.
From his bike. Mr. Sevio Davidoff, a student, padlocked his pedal cycle and left it in Clevedon Road, East Twickenham, while he spent an afternoon at Richmond Ice Rink on Sunday. But when he returned, the front wheel, gear unit, saddle and rear lamp, together worth £25, had been removed.
Windows smashed. 3 windows of the Cherry Tree Public House, Staines Road, Twickenham, were broken last Saturday night, and on Tuesday morning between 1 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. a 4th pane of glass was broken. Dialogue.
Ah, that must be them now. I'll go and let them in.
Mr. Newton?
That's right. Do come in.
I'm Detective Sergeant Thompson from the Earl's Court Police.
How do you do? This is my wife.
Good evening, madam. Oh, dear. They have left the place in a mess, haven't they? Now, everything's exactly as you found it, is it? You haven't touched anything, have you?
No, we've left everything just as it was.
Well, that's good. We don't like things to be disturbed. As I understand it, you've just come back from your holidays. Is that right?
Yes, we arrived home about half an hour ago. We've been away since a fortnight yesterday.
I see. Did you remember to cancel your papers in the milk?
Oh, yes. I told the milkman on the Saturday when I paid him, and you sorted the papers, didn't you, Arthur?
Yes, that's right.
Did you tell your neighbours you were going away?
No, we don't really know our neighbours terribly well. We tried to have a word with the landlady downstairs, but she was out. I think she may have gone away too.
Oh, well, I'll have a word with her later on, if she's in. Now, I'll just have a look round to see if I can see how they got in.
Do you think you'll find any fingerprints, Sergeant?
Well, sir, we might, but quite frankly, I don't think that'll help us very much. This isn't what you'd call a professional job. Is that the bathroom?
Yes, that's right.
Ah, come and have a look. This is the window they came through. Look, it's wide open, and you can easily get in by standing on top of that coal shed. Are you sure you fastened it before you left?
Yes, I made a point of checking every window just before we left.
Ah, yes, these old windows. They're an open invitation to the burglar. Look, right there. That's the place where he stuck his knife in, and he probably walked out through the front door.
Oh, dear.
Are you insured, sir?
Yes, luckily.
Well, that's all right then, isn't it? Let's have a look round the rest of the flat. Now, obviously you haven't had time to check through all your property, but if you could pop round to the station tomorrow with a full list of what's missing and the value of everything. By the way, you should let the insurance people know straight away. They like to be informed about these things as soon as possible. And the sooner you tell them, the quicker you'll get your compensation.
Okay, I'll do that.
Oh, look! There's one big thumbprint on the mirror over the fireplace. I'll just take that before I go.
Oh, that's what you do with it, is it? I've often wondered.
There you are, all finished. Well, I'll say good night now. Don't forget about the list, will you?
No, I won't. Good night, and thank you.
Oral Practice 1. Listen and repeat. A. Your holidays. Come back from your holidays. You've just come back from your holidays. As I understand it, you've just come back from your holidays. B.
Didn't you, Arthur? You saw to the papers, didn't you, Arthur? When I paid him, and you saw to the papers, didn't you, Arthur? On the Saturday when I paid him, and you saw to the papers, didn't you, Arthur? I told the milkman on the Saturday when I paid him, and you saw to the papers, didn't you, Arthur?
C. She was out. The landlady downstairs, but she was out. A word with the landlady downstairs, but she was out. We tried to have a word with the landlady downstairs, but she was out. D.
She's in. Later on, if she's in. I'll have a word with her later on if she's in. Oh, well, I'll have a word with her later on if she's in.
E. Straight away. No, straight away. Let the insurance people know straight away. You should let the insurance people know straight away. By the way, you should let the insurance people know straight away. That's the end of Oral Practice 1. Oral Practice 2. You will now hear a dialogue in which you are going to take part. Listen, please.
Good God! What on earth happened to you? Where did you get that black eye?
Would you believe it? I'd just come out of the station at about 5 o'clock.
What were you doing there?
Well, it's not the sort of place I usually go to, but I was going to see my aunt, who lives fairly near there, down by the river.
I see. Surely she didn't give you a black eye?
Don't be stupid. Of course she didn't. No, I saw a group of boys breaking a window.
Don't tell me. You tried to stop them.
Yes, that's right. And the next thing I knew, one of them had hit me, and they all ran off down the road laughing.
Now you will hear the dialogue again. This time you must talk to your friend and speak at the same time as the speaker on the tape.
Good God! What on earth happened to you? Where did you get that black eye?
Would you believe it? I'd just come out of the station at about 5 o'clock.
What were you doing there?
Well, it's not the sort of place I usually go to, but I was going to see my aunt, who lives fairly near there, down by the river.
I see. Surely she didn't give you a black eye?
Don't be stupid. Of course she didn't. No, I saw a group of boys breaking a window.
Don't tell me. You tried to stop them.
Yes, that's right. And the next thing I knew, one of them had hit me, and they all ran off down the road laughing.
Good. Now this time you must talk to your friend on your own.
Good God! What on earth happened to you? Where did you get that black eye? What were you doing there? I see. Surely she didn't give you a black eye? Don't tell me. You tried to stop them.
That's the end of Oral Practice 2. Oral Practice 3. Listen carefully to the passage. When you've heard it once or twice, try to answer the questions in your book. It's interesting to consider how the police manage to catch criminals. And this interest is proved if one thinks about the success and popularity of detective stories, which probably started in England with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's famous amateur detective, Sherlock Holmes. In these stories, criminals are usually caught because they make some vital mistake. Probably the greatest mistake that criminals make is to mix with people they shouldn't trust. Very often the police learn about a crime, either before or after it's been committed, through informers. One of the duties of a detective is to know the kind of people who commit crimes, their friends and acquaintances, and where they meet. Often a criminal will tell the guilty secrets of those who have treated him badly in order to get revenge. Sometimes an informer will also be given money for his information, although the police will say that the amounts they give to such people are not very large. It's perhaps strange that nobody has much respect for the informer, and this includes the police themselves. That's the end of Oral Practice 3. Oral Practice 4. Listen, please.
What about the shopping and the gardening?
Well, after I've done the shopping, I'll do the gardening.
Well, after I've done the shopping, I'll do the gardening.
When will you do the gardening?
I'll do it after I've done the shopping.
I'll do it after I've done the shopping.
Now you go on in the same way.
What about the shopping and the gardening?
Well, after I've done the shopping, I'll do the gardening.
When will you do the gardening?
I'll do it after I've done the shopping.
What about the washing and the ironing?
Well, after I've done the washing, I'll do the ironing.
When will you do the ironing?
I'll do it after I've done the washing.
What about the hoovering and the dusting?
Well, after I've done the hoovering, I'll do the dusting.
When will you do the dusting?
I'll do it after I've done the hoovering.
What about the painting and the papering?
Well, after I've done the painting, I'll do the papering.
When will you do the papering?
I'll do it after I've done the painting.
Oral Practice 5. Listen, please.
When are you going to have supper?
I'm going to have it when I get home.
I'm going to have it when I get home.
When did you write the letter?
I wrote it when I got home.
I wrote it when I got home. Now you go on in the same way.
When are you going to have supper?
I'm going to have it when I get home.
When did you write the letter?
I wrote it when I got home.
When will you be seeing your daughter?
I'll be seeing her when I get home.
When are you going to telephone Fred?
I'm going to telephone him when I get home.
When will you give him the message?
I was given it when I got home.
When will you be told about it?
I'll be told about it when I get home.
When did you hear the news?
I heard it when I got home.
When do you usually clean your teeth?
I clean them when I get home. Oral Practice 6. Listen, please.
When are you going to give back the car?
Well, it has to be given back by Friday.
Well, it has to be given back by Friday.
When are you going to write your report?
Well, it has to be written by Friday.
Well, it has to be written by Friday.
Now you go on in the same way.
When are you going to give back the car?
Well, it has to be given back by Friday.
When are you going to write your report?
Well, it has to be written by Friday.
When are you going to pay the cleaning lady?
Well, she has to be paid by Friday.
When are you going to do the weekend shopping?
Well, it has to be done by Friday.
When will you collect your children?
Well, they have to be collected by Friday.
When will you return your library books?
Well, they have to be returned by Friday.
When are you going to put up the list?
Well, it has to be put up by Friday.
When are you going to do your homework?
Well, it has to be done by Friday.
Oral Practice 7. Listen, please. Will they elect you to the committee?
Well, I hope to be elected.
Well, I hope to be elected.
Will they choose you for promotion?
Well, I hope to be chosen.
Well, I hope to be chosen.
Now you go on in the same way. Will they elect you to the committee?
Well, I hope to be elected.
Will they choose you for promotion?
Well, I hope to be chosen.
But will they really promote you?
Well, I hope to be promoted.
Will they give you the chance, though?
Well, I hope to be given the chance.
Are they going to put you on the list?
Well, I hope to be put on the list.
Will they select you for interview?
Well, I hope to be selected for interview.
Will they pay you extra?
Well, I hope to be paid extra.
Will they make you the boss?
Well, I hope to be made the boss.
Oral practice 8. Dictation. Cover up the passage and listen, please. There were once two rather unsuccessful criminals called David and Robin. One day they decided to rob a bank. First they broke into a neighboring building, which was an office block, and started to break down the wall into the cellar of what they thought was the bank. When they finally broke through the wall, they walked straight into the arms of a very surprised policeman. They had taken the wrong direction and had broken into the local police station. Now you'll hear the passage again, and this time you must write down what you hear. Stop the machine at the pauses. There were once two rather unsuccessful criminals called David and Robin. One day they decided to rob a bank. First they broke into a neighboring building, which was an office block, and started to break down the wall into the cellar of what they thought was the bank. When they finally broke through the wall, they walked straight into the arms of a very surprised policeman. They had taken the wrong direction and had broken into the local police station. Now here's the passage again. There were once two rather unsuccessful criminals called David and Robin. One day they decided to rob a bank. First they broke into a neighboring building, which was an office block, and started to break down the wall into the cellar of what they thought was the bank. When they finally broke through the wall, they walked straight into the arms of a very surprised policeman. They had taken the wrong direction and had broken into the local police station. Now check the dictation in your book. That's the end of chapter 13.